Today we are going to be talking about animal ghost in West Virginia folklore. Specifically, we are going to be talking about the Revenant Cow of Woodburn Hall in Morgantown, West Virginia. I can't believe I just said that sentence. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm the best Virginian. I bring you West Virginia history and travel videos from across the Mountain State, and I decided I was going to kick off the spoopy season a little bit early this year and give y'all a West Virginia ghost story video, you know, as a little treat. So normally when I talk about West Virginia ghost stories, I like to get all serious and spooky and talk, you know, kind of more monotone, but this video is going to be a little bit silly, so I'm going to skip all that because today we are going to be talking about the ghost of a cow that haunts Morgantown, West Virginia. In 1867, West Virginia University was founded as an agricultural college in Morgantown, West Virginia. And since it was founded under the Morrill Land-Grant Act, it had to have a cadet corps. So in the early days of WVU, they didn't just have students, a handful of them were soldier students, grunts. And what some of the favorite pastimes of both students and soldiers? Yes, drinking, and yes, debauchery, and yes, getting into fights, but eventually you were going to get to pranks. I have faith in you. Eventually you were going to say pranks. It was probably like 7th or 8th on your list, but it was there. So one night a group of cadets decided it would be funny if they were to steal one of the cows from a university barn and put it at the top of the clock tower in Woodburn Hall. And this initial phase of the plan went off without a hitch. They were able to break into one of the barns, steal a cow, lead said cow through the town of Morgantown to Woodburn Circle, break into Woodburn Hall, lead the cow through Woodburn Hall up the steps to the clock tower. They then left because they wanted to see the reactions that people would have at discovering that they had placed a cow in the clock tower of Woodburn Hall. And several laughs were had as people watched WVU staff trying to get this cow out of the clock tower. But if you've ever watched Bob's Burgers, you're probably aware that as cows can go up steps, they have a lot of trouble coming back down steps. They are super stubborn about it. And eventually staff would just give up and kill the cow in the clock tower. And to this day, students, staff, and visitors claim that they can hear clomping around and mooing coming from the clock tower of Woodburn Hall after dark. Also, it should be noted that luckily students and soldier students enjoy eating, so there's a fair chance that they probably just killed the cow and had a barbecue and nothing really went to waste. Now, despite being a silly story, this story actually does a good job at conveying what a revenant ghost is. Revenants are a particular type of ghost that are known for being particularly vengeful and violent. As English speakers, we get the term revenant from the French term revenant, meaning returning, or revenir, which is a verb meaning to return. The most famous types of revenants, if you've ever played Skyrim, are probably the Draugr. They come from Norse mythology, and they're a particular type of revenant who most commonly come back to life in order to protect their tombs from intruders. Typically, these encounters with these entities are extremely dangerous because they're not harmed by normal weapons, and undertaking the task of killing a Draugr is extremely dangerous. And typically in Norse mythology, an individual that has to go into a tomb and overcome a Draugr, it's typically kind of like a rite of passage for a lot of hero stories from those mythos. In West Virginia and probably most of the United States, the most common animal revenant story is that of the white wolf of French Creek, West Virginia. In the early days of West Virginia statehood, wolves were a massive problem as people moved into the area of French Creek, which is located just south of Buchanan in central West Virginia, and started trying to farm and raise livestock. Wolves were an ever-present problem. Things got so out of hand that individuals started putting up bounties for wolf hides to try and cull the population a little bit. And according to many accounts, there was a particularly talented wolf hunter named Bill Williams. During his wolf hunting career, Bill claimed to have killed nearly 500 wolves, collecting bounties on each and every one that made him a small fortune. Over time, West Virginia's wolf population would dwindle more and more and more, and it would become harder and harder for Bill and other wolf hunters to find the animals, to kill them, to collect the bounties. So eventually, Bill kind of just retired from the wolf bounty hunting game and swore that he would never kill another wolf as long as he lived. And with this, Bill retired and just settled into a simple life, living off the money he had made hunting wolves, and occasionally he would go into town to share the tales of adventures that he had had during his wolf hunting days. And then one day, seemingly out of nowhere, a farmer came into town to share a story that his farm was being terrorized by an abnormally large, solid white wolf. The farmer claimed that he shot the wolf multiple times and it did no harm or damage to it. It didn't even slow down the wolf that was actively killing his livestock. As time went on, more and more farmers reported sightings of this abnormally large, solid white wolf, and corpses of chicken and sheep and goats, and eventually full-grown cattle started littering the West Virginia countryside. And even though many of these farmers shot at the white wolf, it showed absolutely no signs of harm or injury. Again, it just shrugged off many of these bullets. And many individuals begged Bill to come out of retirement to take down this white wolf, but he simply refused. They offered him money to go after the white wolf, and he said, "No, I'm done. I'm retired. This is a fight for a younger generation." Eventually, Bill spotted the white wolf on his property, and again, he didn't go after it. He saw it and he kind of just let it pass until one night when it attacked a prized cow of his, and then he decided it was up to him to put down the white wolf once and for all. He went into town, he bought a young lamb, and he swore to the townfolk that he was going to take down the great white wolf once and for all. His plan was simple. He was going to put a stake in a field, tie the lamb to it, wait in ambush, and when the wolf came after this easy prey, he would shoot it. And he had had years of experience. He was a very talented hunter. If this was a plan he thought would work, it was probably going to work. Again, he had killed over 500 wolves during his career. Now, after a couple days of no one hearing from Bill, a couple people went out to investigate his farm to see if he had in fact slain the great white wolf, and all they found was a lamb staked out in a field. Perfectly fine, perfectly uninjured. Nothing had hurt this lamb. Upon further investigation, they would find Bill in some nearby woods. And Bill was dead. Like, very, very dead. Something had attacked him so quickly and killed him with a bite to the neck so violently he hadn't even had time to grab his gun that was leaning up against a nearby tree. This was an individual that had stalked and hunted wolves for many years, and somehow this great white wolf had snuck up on him and killed him without him being able to react at all. And after Bill's death, the French Creek white wolf was never seen again. Now, if you're from West Virginia and this story sounds familiar, it was featured in Ruth Ann Music's The Telltale Lilac Bush and Other West Virginia Ghost Tales. But if you're not from West Virginia, you might be familiar with the story from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. That's right, the White Wolf from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was inspired by West Virginia folklore. And personally, I like to think the only reason these books were so successful in the 80s and 90s was because they had a little bit of West Virginia in them. So I hope you enjoyed this video on Animal Revenant of the West Virginia Hills. Thank you for sticking around this long. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, as we get further and further into the fall season, I am going to do more and more of these ghost story videos. Let me know if there's any West Virginia ghost stories you would like for me to share. And as always, leave a like, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and don't forget to stay wild, stay wonderful, watch out for things that go bump in the night, and I'll talk to you in the next video.